Fox Sports.
This is what they put on the postcards when they show you Seattle. A gorgeous evening at Safeco Field, Game 2 of a 3-game series. Last night, King Felix reigned supreme, and the Mariners beat the Marlins convincingly. Tonight would be Game 2. Roof wide open, sun is shining. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. The Marlins, the home team again tonight. Last night, they just rang into King Felix, and I guess they hope that there's no hangover from that going into this one.
Yeah, the ball club ran into one of the game's best last night. A little different situation tonight in Jason Vargas. So I think maybe some of the players have gotten everything out of the way, the unusual situation, the unique situation, being the home team here in Seattle.
We answer these questions over the last 3 weeks. Here in Seattle, we were asked what has happened to the ball club, and I think there's one thing that we point to and we tell people, hey, this is a ball club that obviously has struggled, but there are some people that have struggled on the field, and there's some missing pieces as well.
Rich, I think if you take a look at championship teams, even right now, if you take a look at first-place teams, they have an ace and they have a guy who's an MVP-type candidate. The Marlins have those two guys. One's on the disabled list, and the other is having a subpar season, hitting .211. So right there is the beginning if you're starting to figure out what's gone wrong with the Marlins.
Now, there are two off-season acquisitions who have scuffled a bit and are not performing as they were all-stars last year as well.
Yeah, all-star John Buck had a 20-homer season with the Toronto Blue Jays. Omar Infante, a lot of people question his all-star status, but had a terrific year as a utility guy for the most part last year with the Braves. His average is down. So you're missing a couple of guys who are all-stars. You have a possible MVP who's not having that type of year, and then you add a couple of all-stars, they're having subpar years.
Okay, let's talk about the pitching matchup tonight, because the Marlins are going to see a real contrast from what they saw last night. Obviously, last night was King Felix, our Coventry Healthcare of Florida matchup. A familiar face, Jason Vargas and Chris Volstad.
I tell you what, Jason Vargas has been one of the hottest pitchers in baseball this month. He's 2-1 in June with an ERA a little over 2. He's had 2 complete game shutouts in the month of June. Chris Volstad pitched very well in his last start against Tampa Bay. Needs to take that same mindset and the same stuff to the mound tonight.
What's different about Vargas? If you're a Marlin fan and you saw him then and now you see him now.
Marlins fans saw a young Jason Vargas who didn't have a lot of command. He has fastball and changeup, and he's come up with a little cutter.
Okay, there you go. So it's the Marlins, it's the Mariners. The Marlins are the home club, and there's no King Felix on the mound. But Jason Vargas has 2 shutouts already this year. So the Fish have their hands full in Seattle tonight against the Mariners. on a Saturday night at Safeco Field. The Marlins and the Mariners. Let's go down below to Frank Fort. Frank.
All right, thanks very much, Rich, as the grounds crew gets ready. Jason Vargas, as you mentioned, on the mound tonight, second-round pick of the Marlins in 2004. Started 18 games for the Fish in 05 and 06, was traded to the Mets, and then here to Seattle. Last year made 31 starts for the Mariners. This year he's been absolutely terrific in the month of June. We talked to Vargas about maturing and becoming a part of this Seattle rotation, an important part, which has an outstanding starter's ERA of 3.18.
I just think it's we've just been continuing to build on the past year and a half, and being here in a situation, I've had an organization who's kind of given me a second chance and really stuck with it, and just trying to take that opportunity and run with it.
Pitching on this starting staff, I guess you have no choice but to pitch well, and being around guys like Hernandez, and Pineda's a young guy, but is it almost a little bit of an internal competition that guys try to outpitch each other?
Yeah, definitely. We all want to do well, and we all want to, whether we say it or not, want to outdo each other the following day. So, it's just one of those things where when you get that many competitive, guys together, they're just going to feed off each other. And we did that last year when we had Cliff, and we really saw it with Felix and Cliff, how they just fed off each other, and it helped me and Doug get a lot better.
First time in the American League when you came to this ball club. Is there much of a difference pitching in the American League as opposed to the National in your eyes?
I think I pitched in the National League at a different point, level of maturity, and I had success there from the very beginning, and kind of let that get to me a little bit, and then started not having success and let that get to me. So when I came over here, it was just kind of one of those things where I was trying to just start fresh and just really trying to establish myself. So the only difference I really see is that we don't get the hit, but there's good lineups in both divisions and in both leagues. So it's just on any given night who's going to hit the ball and who's not.
Well, Jason Vargas will get a chance to hit tonight, a .259 career hitter. He goes up against Chris Volstad. Marlins, Mariners, Game 2 of the series. It's late night with the Fish, late night with me, Rich Waltz, and Tommy Hutton. They'll be along with First Pitch right after this.
Welcome in everybody watching on the American Forces Network. We know how important it is for you to get your baseball, and we're happy to bring it to you 175 countries and aboard ships at sea. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton and Frank Fort, your Fox Sports Florida Marlins broadcast team. Happy to be in Seattle as Ichiro stands in against Chris Volstad. Really a hometown kid out of Palm Beach Gardens.
You see his overall record, but a terrific outing his last time out. 7 innings, 6 hits, just 1 run to Tampa Bay. The only problem, he matched up against James Shields, who went 9 innings and gave up just 1 run. Pitched a beautiful ball game.
And he's gone 2-0 on Ichiro. Leads it off with Brendan Ryan and Adam Kennedy behind him, and Ichiro slaps one to left. That's Emilio Bonifacio out in left field, and he runs it down. And Ichiro is now 0 for 5 in this series. The Mariners, of course, the visiting team, with U2 pushing the Marlins to the northwest, and here they are. It's brought to you by Warren Henry Automobiles, your Warren Henry advantage. Ichiro's in right, Brendan Ryan's at short. Adam Kennedy moves over to first. Justin Smoke, a late scratch with a sore thumb. That puts Miguel Olivo in the cleanup spot. Dustin Ackley hits fifth. Franklin Gutierrez in center. Carlos Peguero in left. Sean Figgins, a rare start at third, and Jason Vargas hits ninth. And this is Brendan Ryan, who had one of the most important plays of the night last night, Tommy. And it wasn't a hit or a defensive play. It was getting in a rundown between second and third long enough for Justin Smoke to go from the plate to second base, and that helped set up a big inning against Ricky Nolasco.
It really did. It changed the entire complexion of that inning, and it's also something that Ryan had done earlier in the year. Get himself in a rundown long enough to allow the other runners behind him to advance.
And here is that play. Well, actually, we figured we'd show you Hanley just to, it's late night. You might have been dozing on the couch. Right out of the gate, we figured, hey, here's a Hanley highlight.
Hey, Hanley with the base hit scored the only Marlins run last night. We can run with it. We can go with it.
There's a roller towards Hanley. Look at that. It's foreshadowing, Tommy.
It's just a segue. We knew the ground ball would go to Hanley Ramirez. Nicely done, Hanley.
Either that or operator error. We're not sure which. All right, here's the defense, and it's brought to you by Volkswagen.
Yes, it is. Bonifacio, Dwayne Wise, Mike Stanton in that outfield. Wes Helms with the start against the lefty. Omar Infante at second, Gabby at first, John Buck behind the plate. How about all the different positions that Bonifacio has started games at this year?
Adam Kennedy takes a letter-high strike. Wally Bell calling balls and strikes. Laz Diaz, Corey Blazer, and Scott Berry on the bases. Kennedy actually having a pretty nice season. And his manager, Eric Wedge, has him in there. He likes the fact that he gives him what he terms a professional at bat.
He's a veteran guy. He's in his 12th year as a major leaguer. He's had postseason experience successfully, I might add, in postseason.
Outside corner, Volstad drops in a nice hammer, and a 1-2-3 inning here in the first. The Marlins lineup. Look at the Marlins now, 10 under at 33 and 43. Bonifacio's in left and leading it off with the lefty on the mound. Infante hits second. Gabby Sanchez, Hanley Ramirez, Mike Stanton, John Buck the catcher, Wes Helms at third, Dwayne Wise in center field. Volstad hits ninth. It's a night off for Logan Morrison against the lefty, Jason Vargas.
Well, some right-handed bats in there, and even Bonifacio as a switch hitter has hit better against left-handed pitching. As you take a look at the 28-year-old left-hander Jason Vargas, really turned it around, got off to a slow start, but lately has been tremendous. He was 0-2 with an ERA over 5 in his first 5 starts.
Bonifacio 0 for 4 last night. He had a lot of company facing Felix Hernandez. Up the middle into center field. Bonifacio is aboard. The Marlins have a base hit right out of the chute. Bonifacio's on. Here comes Infante. Here comes Volkswagen with the Seattle defense.
All right, there it is with Carlos Piguero, Franklin Gutierrez, and Ichiro in the outfield. Sean Figgins gets the start, a late scratch with Smoke, put Figgins in the lineup. Ryan and Ackley. Adam Kennedy moves over to first, and Miguel Olivo behind the plate.
Here is Infante. Vargas, as Tommy pointed out, a Marlin to start his career, and then a Met, and then a Mariner.
All right, here you go, Rich. What do you do when you've scored 1 run or less 9 times in the month, and you get the leadoff man on? You have to try to do something to create a run.
Bonifacio getting the lead against the left-hander. Vargas with a strike. He has added a pitch, that cut fastball, and that has made a big difference in his success.
That's a good equalizer too with the changeup that he has. That's probably his best move by the way to first base, that snap throw. Take a look at the scouting report on Jason Vargas. 18 starts as a member of the Marlins over a couple of years. He locates his pitches well. Talked about the cutter and change.
Bonifacio is running on a breaking ball. Infante lines it into left, and Piguero has to play it on a hop. And the Marlins have a couple of base hits against Vargas. And here comes Gabby Sanchez. Even though Bonifacio was running, he wasn't sure if Piguero could catch it or not, so he didn't want to run into a double play. He's hung around second as long as he could.
Looked like the changeup, and off the end of the bat, the ball just kind of died out in left field. And the other thing about Bonifacio, because he was running, you get to second or beyond, there's no sense and no reason to stop, because if the ball is caught, you're going to be doubled off anyway.
So here is Gabby, who was 1 for 4 last night, and he told me earlier he felt pretty fortunate to have that one hit. As nasty as Felix was, and Gabby lines it out. I asked him, I said, of all the pitchers that you've faced in the big leagues in your career, and he's almost going on 2 years now in the big leagues, where would you rank King Felix? And he said, number 1. He said, that's the toughest guy I've ever faced last night. The ball that he hit was a changeup into center field for a base hit. And he said when he saw the changeup, he was so happy, he went after it with 2 strikes and got a good piece of it. But he said that's the nastiest pitcher he's ever seen.
And I think a number of Marlins hitters would agree.
Vargas settles his 0-1. Gabby lines it into left field. That's a base hit. Piguero picks it up. Stop sign for Bonifacio. And a good strong throw. And the Marlins are set up with the bags loaded. And here comes Hanley Ramirez to face a former teammate in Jason Vargas. 3 consecutive singles.
Tell you what, you've seen 3 really good swings. I don't think the cutter got in far enough. Gabby with a nice swing. And 3 straight base hits. I think the oddity, Rich, the Marlins have Gabby, Hanley, Stanton, Bonifacio have all hit really well against left-handed pitching, yet the Marlins are 8-13 against lefty starters.
It doesn't add up.
No.
Because the Marlins have had much more success against lefties at the plate. And so here's Hanley. He was 1 for 4 last night. The infield is back looking for a ground ball. Hanley drives it right center field and hits it deep. Back goes Ichiro. He looks up. That ball's off the track, over the wall, out of play. Ground rule double, and the Marlins have a 2-0 lead. Hanley Ramirez driving the ball to right center field and hitting it a long way. He'll pick up 2 RBIs on a double.
Jason Vargas in his last start against the Philadelphia Phillies gave up 3 hits. He's already given up 4 in this inning without getting an out. It's our checkers double of the game. All I did was watch Ichiro. You knew he wasn't going to get to it as the way he approached that ball. And another terrific swing from Hanley.
And a big at bat for Mike Stanton, I would add. With runners at second and third and nobody out. Quickly, it's 0-2. It was a nightmare of a night for Stanton. He was 0 for 4 last night, and he struck out 4 times, and he didn't look good doing it. I mean, you can look good sometimes striking out. He did not. 0-2 pitch. Stanton hits it to center field and deep. Back goes Gutierrez to the wall. He makes the catch. Everybody tags. Gabby will score. Hanley to third. And a nice AB by Stanton. A 2-strike pitch that he hit 405 feet from home plate.
Yeah, that's what even made it a better AB, because he did that with 2 strikes. Chased Gutierrez back near the wall on the warning track to get the sacrifice fly, not only bringing the run in, but moving Hanley over to third as well.
Stanton picks up his 44th run driven in. And here is John Buck. Now Seattle's infield comes in. Buck was 0 for 2 last night. He was hit twice by Hernandez. Oh, 1. Inside corner. This has been a spot where John Buck has really struggled this year. Look at that. 3 out of 18 times he's knocked in a run from third with less than 2 outs. Vargas thought he caught the corner, and it misses in.
One thing, the Marlins haven't allowed Vargas to really get in any kind of sync. He's thrown strikes, but every strike he's thrown, the Marlins have hit hard.
Twice he's come inside, and twice he's missed, and the count's 2-2. Just 7 allowed. And 3 of those have come tonight. And Buck strikes out. Wow.
He was due for the changeup after Vargas missed twice with fastballs, cutters inside. Then he went away with the changeup and got it.
So 3 for 19 with a runner at third and less than 2 outs at getting that run home.
And unless that run scores, it negates the 2 for 1 that Mike Stanton gave us. The sac fly and then moving Hanley over to third.
So Wes Helms climbs in. And Vargas delivers and misses away. Helms getting the start at third base. Jack McKeon giving a scuffling Logan Morrison the night off. It's one of the things that Eduardo Perez said that he had to tell his hitters about last night is, hey, I know last night didn't feel good, but don't change anything from what you were doing last night to tonight simply because a guy dominated you. That guy is one of the best in baseball.
He's dominated a lot of teams and a lot of hitters.
Morrison and Perez at the rail. Good to see that Lomo at the side of the hitting coach for the Marlins. And talking to Eduardo, he said, you know what? He's starting to get to know the hitters, starting to talk about certain things and start to make some adjustments. Because as he put it, and any hitting coach will tell you this that takes over midstream, you can't come in and say, all right, do this, and change that.
Absolutely.
Because you don't know the mentality of the hitter or what the hitter's thought process is at the plate. 3-1 is a strike.
Rich, by the way, and this is a quick check, unofficial. The last time I have the Marlins scoring 3 runs in an inning was June 13th against the Diamondbacks, and they lost that game 12-9. That's the last time they scored 3 in an inning.
I was afraid you were going to say 2010.
Even though it seems that way.
It does seem that way. It's our Toyota Trent tonight have scored first in 9 of their last 11 games, but have won just 1 of those 9 games. 3 runs tonight. Helms with a 3-2 count. Hanley's at third. Vargas ready. And the pitch. Helms hits a pop-up. Kennedy calling, and he makes the catch. So the Marlins get 3, though they do leave Hanley at third. And Chris Volstad with a 3-0 lead now. In the Arizona desert for one spectacular night in the summer's biggest event, as Fox brings you every thrilling moment of the 2011 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Coverage begins Tuesday, July 12th, live from Phoenix, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, only on Fox. Miguel Olivo hits one high into center field. That's Dwayne Wise out there, and Olivo pops out. Was unable to even get the note out that Olivo's had quite a June, and he continued it last night with his home run against Mike Dunn.
Well, that's right. We couldn't get the note out that in the original lineup, Olivo was not the cleanup hitter either. It was Justin Smoke who was scratched, a late scratch, and all of a sudden Olivo moved up to the cleanup spot.
That's what happens when you swing at the first pitch, which Olivo has been known to do now and again. Here is Dustin Ackley. Ackley, maybe the top position prospect for Seattle, promoted to the big leagues. We told you about him last night. Star at North Carolina. Hit .412, the all-time record for the Tar Heels. Was all-tournament 3 consecutive years in the College World Series. That's the first time anyone has ever done that. Two. Ground ball. Gabby scoops it, and Ackley is out. So Chris Volstad with a couple of ground ball outs. He's retired all 5 that he's faced. Here comes Gutierrez. Here comes our weather. It's brought to you by All Year Cooling. Very pleasant tonight, 64 degrees. Partly cloudy, low at 49. Roof wide open, sunshine today in Seattle.
Just a gorgeous day to walk around and enjoy the downtown area.
This is one of the great downtowns in all of America. Great shopping. It is a downtown that a lot of people live in. And so there's great condominiums, great shops. You've got all the fresh food at the Pike Place Market.
The fresh vegetables, the fruit, just look tremendous.
Franklin Gutierrez may have visited. I actually ran into Miguel Olivo on the street today.
Not to mention, there was the Seattle Rock and Roll Marathon taking place today.
That's right, the marathon with the rock and roll music going. Ground ball to short, Hanley to his left, and he throws out Gutierrez, and Chris Volstad looking like he did last Sunday against Tampa Bay. Marlins got 3 in the first against Jason Vargas. There's Dwayne Wise, and he takes a breaking ball for a strike. Wise getting the start in center field. Chris Volstad, Emilio Bonifacio also coming up in the bottom of the second in Seattle. The Marlins trying to right the ship, so to speak. A team that has gone from 10 over to 10 under, 33 and 43 now, 2 and 21 in the month of June. And of course, a painful plummet in that the Marlins have lost 12 consecutive one-run decisions. Jack McKeon trying to stop the slide. And here's the 1-2. And Wise wraps one into left field for a base hit. The Marlins already have 5 hits against Vargas. And as Tommy pointed out, Vargas was dynamite in his start against Philadelphia. He also he threw a shutout against Philadelphia. He also threw a 4-hit shutout against the Rays on June 4th. And against Baltimore, he threw 9 shutout innings, but his team didn't score either, and so he got a no decision, kind of a modern-day Harvey Haddix type effort. Volstad drops down the bunt. Vargas picks it up, flips it over to first. See, he does not get credit for a complete game nor a shutout in that case. 9 innings of shutout ball. All he got was a no decision and a lower ERA out of it.
Yeah, he really started to put things together. I mentioned he started the year, his first 5 starts, he was 0-2 with a 5.53 ERA. And last year, as did all the Seattle pitchers, didn't get a whole lot of support. He was 9-12, but had a very respectable 3.78 ERA.
Bonifacio swings and misses. And of course, one of the interesting things about Vargas is when he made his Major League debut with the Marlins, the skipper was the same skipper as tonight, Jack McKeon. Here's the 0-1. Bonifacio, broken bat roller. Ryan's going to go to third. Out is Wise. We thought he got in, but Sean Figgins puts the tag on. Brendan Ryan is as good as it gets at shortstop. He is a terrific defensive shortstop.
Talk about this so often. If the ball's in front of you, more often than not, you're not going to make it to third, even if you have the speed of a Dwayne Wise. Heads up play, good play by Ryan. And all of a sudden, nobody in scoring position, and Bonifacio's at first.
And watching the replay, a good call by Scott Berry, the third base umpire. Well, here's Infante, and Bonifacio might be on the move with 2 outs. Infante steps out.
And again, remember, the best move that Vargas has is that snap throw. He will throw over when he lifts the leg, but it's not a good move.
Misses away to Infante. Omar singled back in the first. The Marlins had 4 consecutive hits to start the game. Bonifacio, Infante, and Gabby Sanchez all with singles, and then Hanley with a 2-run double to right center. Stanton delivered a run with a sacrifice fly. Infante hits that one pretty well, but you really got to crank it to get it out of here. Gutierrez was out there to get it. Marlins leave a runner. We've played 2. Florida on top of Seattle. And wants not only a win, but a visit from Frank Fort.
We'll have to get Frank on that.
Charlie from Weston. How astute is Charlie from Weston knowing that Frank is on this trip instead of Craig or Allison?
That's a heads-up fan. It's a knowledgeable fan.
He read the scouting report. Carlos Piguero, Sean Figgins, Jason Vargas. And Volstad has been aggressive and economical and very effective. 21 pitches to get his 6 outs and the 0-1 count on Piguero. Infante to his left. He made that play look very, very easy.
That looked easy, and it wasn't.
He is the right now the best second baseman percentage-wise, fielding percentage-wise in the National League.
And range, going to his left, taking a good angle, getting back on the grass. And then the nice little pirouette and a perfect throw to Gabby. I'm telling you, that's not an easy play, and he made it look very simple.
I think that's why in our open we were talking about areas where the Marlins have struggled as Sean Figgins takes a strike. Certainly we talk about Infante. Yeah, he's not hitting .321. He's not third in the National League in hitting where he was last year, but he is a marked improvement at second base defensively, as those numbers bear out.
The guy at the plate, the Mariners thought would be a marked improvement at many different positions.
And because
boy, that hasn't been the case.
His 2009 season as a All-Star for the Los Angeles Angels was a terrific one. And he parlayed that into a 4-year, $36 million contract. And last year, not so good. At 259, he did steal 42 bases. And this year's been a mighty struggle for Figgins, who is now 33. And he lines it foul. And he's a Florida guy, Brandon, Florida. 4th round originally by Colorado, traded to Anaheim in 01, and yes, he was on that World Championship team in 2002. 8 years as an Angel. 6 times Figgins in the postseason. Infante throws him out. And you can hear that even Seattle fans aren't all that enamored with him right now. Fans, present your Miccosukee Ultimate Rewards Players Club card at the stadium box office starting 2 hours prior to any Marlins home game and get a $10 discount on up to 8 infield box seats. Offer cannot be combined and is subject to availability. Miccosukee Resort and Gaming, get in the game. Here's Vargas, and he can handle the bat. He was an outstanding hitter in college, so much so that when he was at Long Beach State, when he wasn't pitching, he was the DH. Infante handles all 3. And Chris Volstad feeding his infielders a steady diet of ground balls.
One of the other pieces, and it's just outside the ballpark beyond the left field foul pole, is this giant iron baseball mitt. It serves as a meeting point for Mariners fans as they come into the ball game. And of course, with the interest that Marlins owner Jeffrey Loria has in art, it'll be interesting to see what types of pieces we'll have at the new Marlins ballpark in 2012. Rich and Tommy?
All right, thank you, Frank. Is that bat chandelier? We're going to have to do some research, but Dale Chihuly, who lives here in Seattle, who is the great artist with glass sculptures, that may be a Dale Chihuly piece. Wow, Gabby got out in front of that and tattoos the ball up into the second deck. And the count's 0-2.
One of the keys now is to see if the Marlins can continue to put a little pressure on Jason Vargas. After that first inning, he had a nice second inning, only the base hit by Dwayne Wise. The Marlins have been pretty patient in not offering it that cut fastball that he's tried to work off the plate inside.
Gabby kind of muscles that one out towards second. Ackley makes the play, and he is thrown out. With Hanley Ramirez and Mike Stanton also coming up here in the third. 3-0 Fish. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Florida Marlins, may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Marlins. And the bat chandelier is not a Chihuly piece. Crack staff has shown. Though it is quite impressive.
Well, and it's nice to know that our crack staff has an artistic side.
On a hop, Kennedy will step on the bag. Interactive poll tonight. Tickets of America brings you this one. This is a good one.
Yeah, I think this is a good one. I saw this earlier.
Did Jimi Hendrix win last night, by the way?
Yeah, I think
Yes,
Jimmy
he did.
won.
All right. Here's tonight. When you think of Seattle, you think of Boeing, Pike Place Market, rainy weather, Space Needle, or Starbucks. 789-789. Mike Stanton. A quick ground ball and a quick inning for Jason Vargas. Figgins takes care of Stanton. Marlins up 3-0. American League West Tour starting here, going to Oakland, and then on to Texas.
Rich, on that poll, do you have to even ask as to which one I would pick?
Here is Ichiro, and he takes a strike. If you weren't with us last night, Tommy got pretty heated midway through the ball game, and I had suggested maybe a few less stops at Starbucks tonight might be in order. And yesterday, my partner went to Starbucks 4 times before the ball game. How many times today?
Just 2. And one of those was down at Pike's Marketplace to the original Starbucks.
They did not have the original Starbucks prices there, though.
No, they were the same prices as today.
1-2 pitch. Olsted's sinker misses outside. Chris has been impressive. First time through the order. He's worked quickly. He's pounded the strike zone. 34th pitch of the game, and Ichiro fouls it back.
That was one of the things that John Buck told me before the game. He wanted to keep that pace going. Again, to go back to the way Chris pitched against the Rays in his last outing. Keep the ball down, keep the pace going.
2-2. The funny thing about Ichiro, he is a completely different hitter in the game than he is during batting practice.
I watched him in BP today. He could go into the home run derby in the All-Star game.
He could win it. And it's a nice play.
Which, by the way, Rich, brings up a really interesting point. He's been an All-Star 10 years in a row. He's 6th in the voting this year in American League outfielders, and in jeopardy somewhat of being an all-star this year.
Oh, I'm with you. If he's not voted in, I don't think he's going.
Because you look at this Seattle club, you know that King Felix will go in. Possibly their closer, Brandon Lee, had an outstanding year.
And if Michael Pineda puts together a couple great starts, maybe he gets consideration. There's a tapper. Helms has to hurry, and Ichiro beats out a hit.
I'm not so sure. I think if West throws the ball across the diamond, he gets it. I mean, Ichiro gets a lot of infield base hits, but with no hits on the board, I think you got to be a little cleaner in this call. If West makes this play, I think he throws him out.
E5.
And it is an error.
So an error on Wes Helms. You've got a base stealer at first. And here's Brendan Ryan.
And you have a pitcher on the mound who runners have taken advantage of.
That's a balk
over the last few years.
Volstad balked. Ichiro on his way to second. Wally Bell called it. Let's see what. See, he didn't step off.
If you're going to do that, you have to step off first, then look over at first base.
And by stepping off, that means take your foot and step to the back of the rubber before you make that move.
Yeah, you can't step forward. Or sideways. Well, now he has to settle down. His routine's been upset. The error, the balk, runner at second base. Now he has to get back into that groove that he was in the first 3 innings.
Ryan takes a strike. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Ryan bounced to short back in the first. Volstad an 11-pitch first inning, a 9-pitch second, 9 more pitches to get through the third. And the bunt is foul.
One of the few hitters that have seen Chris Volstad before. Brendan Ryan coming into the game 3 for 6 in his career against Chris.
Ryan, of course, parts of 4 years with the Cardinals. I bet you you've seen him in spring training a lot, too. Parts of his 4 seasons with the Cardinals. Last year, he led National League shortstops in zone rating. One of those defensive metrics that measures the dependability, the effectiveness of a guy in his defensive area. Here's the 2-2. Little tapper. Volstad looks Ichiro back and then goes to first. So an out in the books. Here's the trivia question tonight. Bring on the phone and let's flip it. Natives of Washington, who holds the record for most games, homers, and runs driven in. Now Ron Santo, I believe, was a Washington native.
What about John Olerud?
John Olerud is another good guess.
John Olerud would be my guess.
Adam Kennedy pulls it over. Gabby Sanchez flips it to Volstad. Ichiro's at third now.
Well, he's made 2 good pitches in getting Ryan and Kennedy. So he's come back after the error and the balk. That's a good sign. You know, another good sign, and I've mentioned it before with Chris Volstad. To me, I don't even think it's impressed upon enough in young pitchers. In his professional career, Chris has never been on the disabled list. He has kept himself healthy.
Here is Olivo. Miguel Olivo had his spot in the order moved up with the scratch of Justin Smoke. And the Mariners lose some pop with Smoke out. Dozen homers. They're RBI leader with 40. Olivo pulls it foul, but Miguel Olivo, he has a dozen homers, and 8 have come this month. 8 homers in the month of June. Strong like bull.
Strong like bull.
He's only hit 211, but if you're going to hit 211, you might as well hit 8 out of the park. Against the Marlins in his career, he had a nice game against the Marlins as a Rocky at Coors Field last year. Two-one. Ground ball short. Hanley handles it and fires over to first, and Olivo is out. Chris Volstad cruising right now with a 3-0 lead. And by all your cooling, today's comfort, yesterday's prices. Safeco Field in Seattle. This was the birthplace of the sweater vest. It was an email Tuesday. I think it was in 2008 when we were here.
We were here last.
And a viewer said, way to rock the sweater vest, T-Hut. And from that point forward, all of a sudden, it kind of took off from there.
Kind of took off. A little chillier tonight, I think, so I'm rocking the sweater vest tonight.
And John Buck hits one on the nose out to center field. Gutierrez runs it down. Good swing by Buck. And one out here in the fourth. Fan balloting, of course, underway for the All-Star game, and you can help the Marlins get there. Just vote the maximum 25 times online at Marlins.com and get a pair of tickets to a future Marlins game. You can also vote at the stadium for a chance to win a trip to the All-Star game. Go to Marlins.com for more information. Helms and Wise to follow against Vargas.
Get some votes in for Gabby Sanchez.
I think the two leading candidates for the Marlins would be Gabby and Anibal Sanchez. And it's 1-1. Of course, it affects the voting into left. There's Peguero. Let's get the trivia out of the way. And you go, I'll go Ron Santo, you go
See, that's
Olerud.
a good guess. I did not know that Ron Santo was a native of Washington. But I'll still go with John Olerud.
Ron Santo. There you go.
Yeah, Ronnie had a...
Hey.
What a great career. What a great third baseman.
Dwayne Wise to center field. And Jason Vargas works a very brief fourth. On the air in Oakland for a couple of late night with the Fish episodes and an afternoon contest on Thursday afternoon. Just as we look forward to the upcoming schedule, you could live forward with Just for Men hair color. Chris Volstad working into the top of the fifth. Dustin Ackley is at the plate, and he takes a big rip and pops it up. Buck tosses the helmet. John over and makes the catch. And Chris Volstad so far has been splendid.
One of the few balls hit in the air. Volstad has gotten 9 ground ball outs to this point.
11 of 14 first pitch strikes, and this is really picking up where he left off last Sunday against the Rays. 7 innings, a run on 6 hits. He threw 114 pitches. He got a no decision in the 2-1 loss. Gutierrez.
Talked about how tough James Shields was in that game. Shields last night another complete game, beating Houston. He has 6 complete games this year.
Ball and a strike. .6'8", 214 is Volstad. And you forget, I mean, he's been in the big leagues for a while. He's just 24. Another ground ball. Hanley has it. And he guns down Gutierrez.
That's the one thing about Chris, because of his height and the plane that he has toward the plate from the mound. If he gets that good release point, throws that sinker, he can throw that one pitch and have success all night.
So he's got 10 ground ball outs now.
Yeah.
And here is Carlos Piguero, the left fielder. Piguero, the 24-year-old Dominican.
Well, it's been a struggle for Piguero. 1 for his last 17.
It's amazing what a great starting staff will do for you. I mean, here is Seattle coming into this ball game at an even 500, and you look up and down their lineup and some of their batting averages.
You got Figgins at 190 coming into the game. Piguero and Gutierrez hovering around 200.
But Eric Wedge has the best starting staff in the American League, and in terms of ERA, a 3.16 earned run average overall. Peguero down the right field line, and it's a fair ball. And it bounces up and over. Oh, it didn't bounce. It was out. I lost sight of it down the corner, and it snuck out.
That ball was hit so hard, and it just did clear the wall, just left of where it says 326. And for Peguero, he snaps that one for 17. And it's his 6th home run of the year.
From my angle, you lose the corner by the foul pole.
A hanger, not too many of those thrown by Chris tonight. A solid swing by Peguero, who last year in Double-A hit 23 home runs. And the key is that he didn't hook it foul. He kept that ball fair.
Yeah, to me, it just disappeared in the corner, and I didn't think it had the lift to get out. Here's Figgins now.
There's a better shot. Just makes the first or second row, just barely the first row.
1-1 on the ground. Hanley has it. And Figgins is thrown out. Carlos Peguero hits his 6th of the season. Seattle is on the board, but the Fish are on top 3-1. And we check in with Frank Fort. Francis?
All right. We saw him on camera earlier, Charlie, from Weston. When did you plan this trip to Seattle?
We planned this a couple of weeks ago when we found out that the Fish were being taken over by U2. You know, got to feel we have a couple of friends out here, and we might as well, catch another home game.
All right, hold up the sign. Now, my name is on it. You didn't really know that I was going to be on this road trip, did you?
No, of course I did. I read your press releases every single day. What do you think, man?
Okay, so you wanted a visit. You got one. Anything you want to say to Rich and Tommy?
That I love you guys, that you guys are awesome, and that, Tommy, no lie, you look better than you did back when you pitched.
Well, he was a first baseman.
Well, you played, yeah, you know what I mean.
We know what you mean. Well, we hope you enjoy your trip to Seattle. Thanks for supporting us and the Marlins. Guys, back up to you.
Well, you can tell him that he played, but he did pitch one inning in the big leagues.
That's great that they had the initiative to come on out here, knowing that the Fish were going to be playing this series.
Volstad, Bonifacio, and Infante. And if Volstad goes down, Vargas gets a strikeout.
Hey, Rich, a couple of things have happened here. Number one, Chris has continued to throw the ball well. On the other hand, Jason Vargas has really settled in after that first inning.
3-1 ball game. Here's Bonifacio. Marlins opened with 4 consecutive hits in the first and a sacrifice fly. Bonifacio had the first of those hits. He takes outside. He's 1 for 2 in this one, 1 for 6 in the series.
Yeah, Vargas has retired 10 straight now.
As a Marlin overall, 6-7 with a 5.25 ERA. He made a couple starts with the Mets in 07, but he had bone spurs in his elbow and had to have them removed. Marlins had traded him in November of 06 for Henry Owens and Matt Lindstrom. And then the Mets, after that surgery and rehab, sent him to Seattle in an enormous trade with the 5 other players, the main principal going from Seattle to the Mets was J.J. Putz.
And you give Jason Vargas a lot of credit, a lot of perseverance. After that surgery, spent a lot of time in Port St. Lucie up there trying to rehab from that injury.
The one thing Jack McKeon said before the ballgame that he really liked about Vargas as a young pitcher, and of course we told you he made his debut in 05. McKeon was the manager. Whether he felt he was a bulldog. He was a guy that wasn't intimidated to be in the big leagues. And in talking to the Seattle folks about Vargas this year and even last year, that's what they talk about, the fact that he has guts. He's not afraid to pitch inside without a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
He's shown that tonight.
And they feel that he really has a good makeup. And the cutter certainly helps, but he has good secondary pitches as well.
Yeah, he's come a long way since his time with Jack. And as a Marlin, he was newly married as a Marlin. 2 young children now.
Want to know. Omar Infante singled and scored in the first and hit a ball pretty well to center in the second. And a strike. 1-1.
And remember, on that single, Bonifacio was on the move. That would kind of look for him to maybe think about that here, too.
As you pointed out, his best move is the step off and throw to first. Infante cranks that one in the gap left center field. That's a base hit. Racing around second is Bonifacio, and he is safe. The ball kicks out of the glove of Sean Figgins. And Vargas retrieves the loose ball. And you can hear the Seattle fans right now. They are not real happy with the play of Sean Figgins.
Boy, that was a perfect throw by Carlos Peguero, the left fielder. Taking the chance was Bonifacio. He had the play in front of him, but Peguero comes up and fires a one-hop strike. It beats him. The tag is there in plenty of time, and the ball comes out of Figgins' glove. He hears the boos, and the Marlins get a break.
Gabby Sanchez. High fly ball. Now Gutierrez has a good arm. Bonifacio's tagging. There's the catch. Here he comes. The throw. And Bonifacio retreats. Smartly retreats.
Yeah, one of the best in the biz, as they say, is the center fielder, Franklin Gutierrez.
So it's up to Hanley Ramirez to get this run in. You know, doesn't there have to be an error charge to Figgins to allow Infante to go from first to second?
Yes, not on the play at third, but I think they have posted an error. Was there an error previously?
No, there's no error up there now.
Oh, see, I'm looking at the home side.
That's right.
See?
Tommy, you're home, all right?
That's right.
Get
I'm
it
sorry. That's right. Wes Helms' error. But yeah, there needs to be. Bonifacio, you can't call an error on that.
Right.
Play at third. But because Infante went to second, they're probably saying he went to second on the throw and not an error. So that's possible, too.
Well, this is a telling sign here that Seattle would rather pitch to Mike Stanton than Hanley Ramirez. Hanley a 2-run double back in the first, and he bounced out. Stanton hit a 405-foot sacrifice fly and he bounced out. So it's Stanton against Vargas with the bases loaded and 2 outs. And Vargas misses down low.
The other way you could have given Figgins an error is because he was out.
Stanton breaks his bat. Figgins holds on to this one and steps on the bag. That cutter got in on him, and the Marlins leave him loaded. Lighting the way to better health. Out on the Puget Sound, 3-1, Marlins on top. It's the 6th in Seattle, but the Marlins the home team and on top. And here's Vargas to open up the 6th. And he sends one out Hanley's way. Backing up, Hanley fires on over to first. A dozen ground ball outs for Chris Vargas, or for Chris Volstad here tonight.
Boy, that's amazing. He's got that two-seamer working. Mariners have been aggressive. They've been going after a lot of early pitches.
Here is Ichiro with Brendan Ryan behind him. Ichiro has flied out, and he hit a slow roller that Helms mishandled. At that point, Volstad had not given up a hit, and the official score gave Helms an error. Carlos Piguero ended the doubt on the no-hitter in the 5th. With 2 outs in the 5th, Piguero lined one just over the wall down the right field corner. JM Lexus presents leaders of the game. Interleague hits all time. Ichiro there. Look at Derek Jeter. JM Lexus price made us #1. But JMLexus.com to find out how. Of course, Ichiro on that list. If you took that list and said, okay, let's start it when Ichiro arrived in the big leagues, Ichiro's name would be on top of that list.
He'd be on top. I thought it was an interesting move, by the way, from his manager, Eric Wedge, to sit him a game after he'd played 255 consecutive games. He'd gotten off to a poor start this year, and he really, since that time, has been hitting around 370, 380.
Ichiro, since 2001, has 270 interleague hits. Michael Young is second, and Jeter is third. There is Brendan Ryan. No swing, says Laz Diaz. And it's 2-0. This is a great park to pitch in. 2-1. Liner into right. It's a base hit. Stanton picks it up. And Ryan is aboard. A 2-out single. And here comes Adam Kennedy. So the second hit against Chris Volstad. Kennedy has struck out and he has bounced out. Anibal Sanchez tomorrow night, looking for win number 7. Boy, he's had 2 or 3 ball games where he's deserved the win and has not gotten a decision. He's 6-1. Doug Fister at 3-8. Infante gobbles it up, and Volstad keeps on rolling. Right through 6 goes Chris Volstad with a 3-1 lead. To his left, didn't leave his feet, didn't have to, and makes a smooth play. The Frostbrewed Coors Light freeze can. Randy Couture, Everett, Washington native. An MMA fighter. Everett, Washington is north of here, and that's where the short season club is for the Seattle Mariners.
You know who would be able to fill us in?
Oh, we got to call John Baker.
Call John Baker. Call Baker, yeah.
He's the MMA guy. Vargas misses down low. John Buck hit it on the nose his last time up. He lined out to center. He's 0 for 2 here. He's 0 for 4 in the series. Vargas with a cutter gets a strike, and it's 2-1.
You can see where that really has turned things around for him. The command he has, and then also that cutter that he can get in on right-handers. I mentioned earlier that the Marlins had stayed away from him, but he's gotten a number of outs since that time, jamming hitters. You got Mike Stanton last time up for Hanley. He got him on a pitch inside.
3-1 coming. And it's 3-2. And you're right, Vargas has really settled into the ball game. The Marlins jumped him quickly. Buck pulls that ball, and it's fair, and a fan has it. It bounces up into the seats, and John Buck is 1 for 3, and he's hit it hard his last 2 times up. 11 doubles now this season for Buck.
And given the fact the Marlins have been shut down pretty much since the first inning,
I think, really essential to pick up this run here in the 6th and take it back to a 3-run lead. West trying to take the ball the other way. Move Buck over to third.
And it's 0-1. 5 innings plus now for Vargas. 6 hits. And the Marlins have the 3 runs. A pair of walks and a pair of strikeouts. Vargas ready with his 72nd pitch of the night. Helms again, and you got Vargas who knows what Helms is trying to do.
Yeah, he's throwing cutters in, and West is trying to hit him the other way. Not easy to do.
We're on the air at 9:30 in Oakland. Tomorrow night, no television.
All right, Rich, I know you're updated on this kind of stuff because it's in your area. Is it still the Oakland Alameda Coliseum, or have they changed it?
They've changed it again.
Can we just say Oakland Coliseum?
Yeah. Well, Howard Cosell used to call it the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum.
County Coliseum.
Counts 1-2.
Anyway, we'll be there Tuesday night.
Inside corner. And Helms strikes out. So Buck is still at second. Here comes Wise. And of course, here comes the New Marlins ballpark. Next year, the state-of-the-art venue, unlike any other, with a retractable roof for air-conditioned comfort, all overlooking downtown Miami. The New Marlins ballpark is opening next spring. Catch the excitement and call 1-877-411-2012 or go to marlins.com/new ballpark. Wise is 1 for 2. He is singled and lined out. Jamie Wright in the Seattle pen.
This is one of those games, if it were under American League rules, you wouldn't even be thinking about anybody warming up in the pen for the Mariners right now. Wise has had some good cuts against Vargas, and one of the reasons he doesn't have that nasty breaking ball. He has the cutter, he has the changeup. He doesn't have that nasty breaking ball that really can equalize what he throws to a left-hander.
Is he more comfortable at bat for a lefty than a righty?
I don't know if he's more comfortable, but he's not it's not like going up and seeing Randy choke.
Well, there are some, soft tossing lefties that left-handed hitters will say are an easier at bat for a right-handed hitter because the changeup and the cutter sometimes come out of the arsenal. Figueroa toward the line, and it's just out of his reach.
Almost a little different situation, but you could play lefties against Jamie Moyer.
You saw one of the King's Court out there in left field with the shirt from the King Felix Court last night. That whole section, there were 2 sections out there that were just filled with people in those shirts, including Frank's friend, the Jester, was out there.
I think they went out for drinks later.
Well, he didn't need to eat anything. He ate that turkey leg that was delivered to him. Wise swings and misses at a fastball. And so Vargas, who gave up the leadoff double, now just has to get Volstad, and he gets out of trouble.
Really showing, and this shows the difference in Jason Vargas. Using both sides of the plate. Wise the only left-hander in the lineup, but he still ran that fastball in, opposite of where he's been going to a lot of the right-handed hitters, into them. Getting all kinds of information from our crack staff in the Bay Area. Raiders fans, they just call it the black hole.
Athletic fans call it a blight because they turned what was a nice little multi-purpose stadium into essentially a football stadium with an enormous monstrosity out in center field.
The Oco Coliseum.
Fouled at the plate. Well, that stadium has changed names almost as many times, or maybe as many times, as the Marlins Stadium. The Dolphin Stadium, actually, the one. We should call it the stadium that the Marlins rent until the end of September.
I'm trying to think quickly in my head, once the Marlins get into the new ballpark, will the Oakland Coliseum be the last multi-purpose stadium? Toronto, they play some football up there.
Yeah, they do. The Argonauts.
But it's Canadian football.
Buffalo Bills play there, though.
They go in there, yeah.
And there's a college bowl game played up there, although there are bowl games that are played in other baseball stadiums. They're actually in this ballpark, the Emerald Bowl, for a year or two. San Francisco has held a bowl game as well. Yankee Stadium, Notre Dame has played at Yankee Stadium. Northwestern and Wrigley, and Volstad dumps one into right field. That's a base hit and a big one. It scores Buck, and Chris Volstad puts the 4th run on the board and drives in the run.
That is just tremendous. It's a huge hit because it comes with 2 out. It was needed to add that other run to get back to a 3-run lead, and it was supplied by Chris Volstad. It's a good swing for a big guy. He shortens things up to get to that cutter.
Now Bonifacio, who has walked, singled, and bounced into a fielder's choice.
Chris's 6th hit this year, but his first RBI.
That one almost got Robbie Thompson, the bench coach of the Mariners. He was on the top step of the Seattle dugout.
Robbie Thompson getting excited about the College World Series coming up, pitting University of Florida. His son Tyler Thompson plays with Florida.
Chopper to third. Figgins makes the play. The Marlins pick up a nice add-on run, and Chris Volstad does it himself. Beach before July 10th and register to win a trip for 2 to see the Marlins play in San Diego August 19th through the 21st. It includes airfare, hotel, and tickets to 3 games. Don't wait. Stop by your local Metro PCS store today. Metro PCS, wireless for all. Well, Chris Volstad's been outstanding. He has limited Seattle to a run on 2 hits. And he climbs the hill for the 7th. Miguel Olivo, Dustin Ackley, and Franklin Gutierrez. Olivo takes a strike. The attendance here tonight, 16,896. And again, as we pointed out last night, these games were not part of the season ticket package that the Mariners sold because, you know, at the beginning of spring training, there was still a question as to where these games would be played. There was thoughts of playing the game in Puerto Rico. Travel-wise, Seattle would have had to go from Washington down to Puerto Rico, which isn't that much further than going down to see the Fish. There were thoughts of playing the games up in Vancouver, which is a couple hours north of here. Swing and a miss by Olivo. But BC Place was undergoing some renovations, and they could not get it into the baseball configuration. The Mariners actually have played some exhibition games up there in that facility long ago. It's the same facility that housed the opening and closing ceremonies, I believe, for the Winter Olympics. Ackley's 0 for 2. He's bounced out and popped out. Warren Henry player profile on Dustin Ackley. I told you he's a great college hero. The only player in the history of the College World Series to be all tournament 3 consecutive years. Up the middle into center field, a base hit.
Rich, he ended his collegiate career hitting in 22 consecutive NCAA tournament games for an average over 500.
Frank, you're a college baseball aficionado. You've got to appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely, Rich. And one number that'll really stun you, he's been in the big leagues for a little over a week now. It took him 18 at-bats and 29 swings before he swung and missed at a pitch in the major leagues. Of course, that includes all balls put in play, hits and outs, and balls that were fouled off. But he took 29 hacks before he missed a major league pitch. That tells you something about his batting eye and his hand-eye coordination.
Fastball fouled off. Yeah, Frank, he's one of the top prospects in all of baseball, and he arrives here in Seattle for a club that's desperately seeking some offense. Much like the Marlins are desperately seeking wins. And right now, a 4-1 lead in the top of the 7th.
Chris Volstad would love to get one of those ground balls right here. Let his infield turn 2. You know, one of the odd numbers on Franklin Gutierrez. I mean, we mentioned he's hovering around the 200 mark with his batting average, but hitting about 140 at home.
Well, and even when he hits it, they haven't been big hits. 108 at bats. He drives that one down the right field line and is twisting and turning, and it is foul. 108 at bats, and Gutierrez has just 4 extra base hits.
And you have to wonder if any of that goes back to the fact that he missed 41 games at the beginning of the year with stomach problems.
The stomach problems were so bad that they had to send him to finally get a diagnosis to the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. Ackley away from first, Volstad to the plate. Gutierrez fouled it at the plate. Last year he hit .245 with an on-base percentage of .303, and he did have some extra base hits last year. Hit a dozen homers.
I think the offensive numbers give you an idea of how good an outfielder he is because he won the Gold Glove. Because a lot of times offensive numbers are kind of tagged onto that.
Lines it into left field, a base hit. So back-to-back hits now in the 7th. And Carlos Piquero comes to the plate. And now it's time for the Coors Light Cold Hard Blast. This was the line drive homer from Piquero off of Volstad. A liner into the corner. One that just snuck out. Figueroa's 6th of the season. Randy St. Clair out for a visit. Marlins bullpen scrambling. Volstad at just 81 pitches right now. Mujica and Choate are up. That's another aspect of the stadium. It's a very social spot, the bullpen. Fans can set their food on the rail and watch the opposing pitchers go to work, as well as watch their hometown bullpen work. And the Mariners bullpen has someone working in it as well. You got a Mariner fan with the teal cap there. There's that Mariner bullpen, Jamie Wright. Broken bat into right, base hit. Stanton picks it up. And now they're loaded. Sean Figgins coming up. Figueroa's got 2 hits, 3 consecutive singles. And Seattle, really for the first time, has something going.
Well, Figueroa's had a couple good swings his last 2 at bats, hitting that line drive home run, and he really stroked that ball well into right field. Hit it so hard, and because it was just over the head of Infante, runners had to hold just a little bit. Ackley had to hold a little bit at second base before he moved on to third.
And here is Figgins, who has bounced out twice. And he takes inside. Figgins' average has plummeted to 188, but a chance to turn around much of the booing that he has heard tonight with a hit here. The outfield is very shallow for Figgins, and he pulls it foul. It's tough to watch, Tommy, as a guy who was a Sean Figgins fan. This was a terrific player for the Angels in those 8 years. Stole bases. His career on base percentage, 360.
You talked about that 09 season, hit 298, had a 395 on base percentage.
Middle infield back for 2. 1-1 coming from Volstad. And he misses low. Ackley open with a single up the middle. Gutierrez pulled a liner to left. And Figueroa pulled one to right. 2-1 to Figgins. To center, and well hit. Wise goes back, sets himself, makes the catch. A pair of runners tag. Ackley will score. Gutierrez to third. And it's 4-2.
Well, to go back to the importance of Chris Volstad helping himself with that RBI single. The base hit, by the way, for Chris was his 6th base hit of the year, and that ties his career high. It's 6 hits in 09.
Well, here is Mike Karp, who was going to pinch hit. Ironically, Karp came over in the trade that brought Jason Vargas from the Mets.
I think it's interesting, Karp pinch hitting against the Fish.
Well, Karp may not see Chris Volstad. Jack wants the baseball. And Volstad's coming out of the ballgame. 4-2, 2 outs in the 7th. Here's a Marooney called to the pen. The fear is that Eric Wedge would go to a potent right-handed bat. Justin Smoak is a switch hitter. He was scratched from the lineup with what we were told was a sore thumb. Now the question is, did the sore thumb bother him from both sides of the plate or just from the left side? Because that obviously would have been the side he would have faced Volstad on.
Well, I would say it probably bothers him from the left side. That's why he was scratched from the lineup. And it doesn't bother him from this side where he has hit better from 288 as opposed to 247 from the left side.
So Choate's going to go after Smoak. His career splits, of course, last year, his rookie season with the Texas Rangers up until the trade and the Cliff Lee deal that brought him to Seattle. You saw Gutierrez. That's Peguero over at first. Choate's breaking ball is hammered, foul.
So I would imagine, Rich, that Smoak and Robbie Thompson might have a little friendly wager on the College World Series.
Yeah, Smoak, of course, a great standout for the Gamecocks of South Carolina. Goose Creek, South Carolina. That's where he's from. Oh, 2. Went with the fastball, and as you can see, pitch number 3 missed.
Everything has been in to Justin Smoak.
The off-speed pitch he hammered. That hits him, and that might not be all that bad because now you got a lefty-lefty matchup, even though it is Ichiro against Choate.
The thing about Randy Choate against right-handers, he doesn't have like that turn-it-over changeup. Everything either is that frisbee slider or the fastball. So he clearly was trying to stay in. You could see by the pattern of pitches, and that one got away and hit Smoak.
Of course, the dangerous thing about Ichiro is his speed. He can just look awful on a swing and put it in play and beat it out. And with the bases loaded, all he's hitting is 421. And they are loaded. And of course, Choate obviously has to throw strikes. Mujica is ready in the bullpen. You've got a right-handed bat, Brendan Ryan, on deck. There's your matchup numbers. There's the ground ball. Helms has this one cleanly and throws him out. And so Choate did get that lefty-lefty matchup, and he gets out Ichiro.
said he got 14 ground ball outs in his 6 2/3. He got some offensive help in the first inning. The Marlins getting a couple runs on that double by Hanley Ramirez, and then a deep sac fly, the third run of the inning, supplied by Mike Stanton. Mariners got a run on a home run, a shot by Figueroa down the right field line. The Marlins were able to add a fourth run on a base hit off the bat of Chris Volstad. A good job by Randy Choate to get out of that inning. And here we go to the bottom of the 7th. The Marlins hold a 2-run lead.
8 hits for the Fish, 5 hits for Seattle.
And we'll see a new Seattle Mariners pitcher. We've seen Jamie Wright before. Saw him during some stretches with the Colorado Rockies. Good sinker when he's on his game. Good sinkers and a curveball.
Jason Vargas ends up going 6 innings, 8 hits. All 4 runs are earned. Vargas walked 2, struck out 4. And Wright catches the outside corner on an Omar Infante at bat. And Infante with a couple of hits. You got Gabby Sanchez and Hanley Ramirez also coming up in the bottom of the 7th. The Marlins, the home team. Thus the home white pants and the black jerseys. Seattle wearing the road grays. Oh, 2, Infante lashes it foul elsewhere. The Yankees beat the Rockies 8-3 in interleague play. The Angels beat the Dodgers 6-1. San Francisco shut out Cleveland 1-0. Matt Cain getting the win. Cain went 7 innings, gave up 4 hits, and obviously did not give up a run. And Justin Masterson pitched real well for Cleveland, but he picks up the loss. Pretty good pitch by Wright.
Yeah, there's that big curveball we talked about. You talked about the Yankees-Rockies game. Last night, the Rockies won at Yankee Stadium, and the hitting hero for the Rockies, Jason Giambi, 3 for 4 with a home run.
Brendan Ryan makes the play. Frank Fort, all yours.
Thanks, Rich. You mentioned earlier in the game that even though he had a sacrifice fly in the top of the inning, Mariner fans not enamored with the year that Sean Figgins is having, except maybe for one segment of Mariner fans who frequent Norm's Eatery and Ale House in the Fremont section. They're running a promotion on Monday nights this year where they sell a pint of beer, 2 different brands, for the price equivalent to Sean Figgins' batting average. So as of right now, on Monday night, those pints will be $1.88. Pretty good price for a pint of beer. Last year, guys, they ran a similar promotion tied to Milton Bradley's batting average. I'll let you guys insert your own joke there.
Well, that's I think it was, as it's rolled out to short, Ryan will pick it up. The original Mendoza line was for a Seattle Mariner player, Mario Mendoza.
Mario Mendoza.
A guy whose batting average was under 200. Wasn't it George Brett?
Yeah, George Brett. But you know what? If you look at Mario Mendoza, his career average is actually over 200.
But I think it was Brett that came up with the saying of the Mendoza line, because his average at the time was under 200.
It figures a lifetime 300 hitter would come up with the Mendoza line.
Hanley Ramirez gets a fastball for a strike. Hanley had a big hit in this ball game, a bases loaded double back in the first that drove in 2. Mike Stanton with a sacrifice fly followed that. Chris Volstad knocked in the 4th run in the 6th. And Hanley busts his bat but strokes it into center field.
And Rich, Mario Mendoza, a slick fielding shortstop, I might add, ended his career 9 years in the big leagues with a .215 career average.
The Mets beat Texas. Actually, Lucas Duda beat Texas He was 4 for 5 and drove in 4 with 3 doubles. 14-5, the Mets beat the Texas Rangers.
Speaking of that game, just to show you, we talked about Mike Stanton last night. 4 strikeouts. Josh Hamilton, former MVP, struck out 4 times in that game.
You know, I thought the same thing when I saw that on television. I saw him go down for the 4th time. I thought, you know, even the best in the game have nights like that.
He's had trouble in day games. I was reading where he was trying some contacts for the first time. Obviously, they didn't work out today.
Most hitters see better at daylight in a day game than they do at night under the lights.
I think a lot of that's changed over the years because the lights are so good and hitters are so used to playing night games.
Oakland beat the Phillies 4-1 in Philadelphia. Trevor Cahill beating Cole Hamels. That's not an easy thing to do. The last time the Marlins saw Hamels, he was sticking it in the Marlins' ear. Hamels did go 8 innings and gave up just 2 runs. Cahill went 7 2/3. He gave up 1 run. And Jamie Wright finishes off Mike Stanton. Marlins leave a runner. On to the 8th. 4-2 Fish. .com/FS Marlins. 4-2. Marlins on top. One of our tweets on FS Marlins on Twitter said that when that fan thinks of Seattle, they think of Frasier. One of the shows set in the Emerald City here.
Well, it's going to be up to the bullpen. Edward Mujica.
Our director, Jim Hawley, thinks of Meg Ryan.
Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan.
On the houseboats out on Lake Union. Mujica gets Brendan Ryan, Adam Kennedy, and Miguel Olivo. Second time we've seen Ryan think about a bunt. Randy Choate ends up going a third of an inning. And the biggest out for Choate, that bases loaded ground ball to get Ichiro. The only out for Choate. He hit Justin Smoke, and at the time we both thought that wasn't such a bad deal.
They did get that lefty-lefty matchup.
Mujica, who was out for about a week with that sprained wrist, Nice to have him back in the bullpen.
He's had a couple of unusual type injuries that looked like they might be worse than they really were.
Ryan lines it to the left. Bonifacio makes the catch.
He had that tweak of the knee going over to first base. It kept him out a little bit.
He had to be taken off the field in a cart. And then the sprained wrist.
So I think the one thing we've learned from Edward Mujica, he is resilient.
He bends but doesn't break.
Yes.
Adam Kennedy is 0 for 3. Two fish, top 8. A little late night action. Thanks for staying up with us, kids.
Yeah, it's early. It's only midnight. It's a Saturday night. Might just be getting.
For many, Tommy, they're just heading out. It's a nice play by a fan. I haven't seen the guy that took a swipe at Mike Stanton last night.
I talked to Mike about that. I said, if you'd have just given a real glare at him and taken a couple of steps forward toward him, you'd have scared the pants off of him.
I let Stanton handle himself pretty well.
Yes, he did.
There are some players that may have gone after that fan.
Yes. And you know what? He absolutely did, considering the night he was having. He struck out 4 times. And I think at that point he'd struck out 3 times.
2-2, that's lined in the gap left center field. Over for it was Wise, and he cuts it off. But it's such a dramatic difference between this ballpark and the Marlins park. Not necessarily in terms of dimensions. This is a big park. The Marlins ballpark is bigger, but the air is thicker here, and the infield grass and the outfield grass are much slower.
Yeah, we were talking about that before the game. The parks are spacious, so you would say, yeah, they're good pitchers' parks, but at home it's a little better park to hit in because of that fast turf, and the ball, I think, carries better certainly than here. You've seen, Rich, a lot of games here. Do you think it carries better with the roof open or closed, or does it make a difference?
I think it carries better with the roof closed.
Didn't you tell me that Junior always wanted the roof closed when he was here?
Occasional request.
Occasional request.
Oh, 2. I think if you asked anyone on those Mariner teams that went from the Kingdome to this ballpark, they would much rather hit in the Kingdome.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the 0-2. In fact, if you ask the general manager of the Mariners at that time, Woody Woodward, he had no problem finding hitters that wanted to hit in the Kingdome.
Well, you had turf.
Yeah.
You didn't have spacious dimensions.
No, and the ball really jumped in there. Especially when you got a lot of people in there. It seemed to warm the place up, and the ball jumped even more. You had the short porch in right.
Well, of my 22 career home runs, 1 was at the Kingdome.
Did you pimp it?
No, it's right down the line.
Infante turns a 1-4-3 double play. And Miguel Olivo an 0 for 4. Edward Mujica with a scoreless inning. What do you think of when you hear Seattle? Rainy weather is still on top. The Space Needle has moved ahead of Tommy's favorite Starbucks. And the Boeing aircraft, 10%. Pike Place Market, 6%. 789-789. How about Microsoft? One of the big industries, or
we were going to say grunge, but we had a music question last night. So
I can't believe Pearl Jam lost to Jimi Hendrix.
Went down to the wire, though.
John Buck, Wes Helms, Dwayne Wise. Thankfully, Hart finished a distant 5th. Jamie Wright delivers to John Buck. A double in 3 trips for Buck, his 11th double of the season. One and one.
Be a lot of fans, soccer and baseball in this vicinity tomorrow.
Odd seeing Leo Nunez warming up here on the road in the bottom of the 8th to come in and pitch the top of the 9th. But of course, with the home field, the home team designation, it's the way it works. You're right. There is a soccer match tomorrow. The New England Revolution in to take on the Sounders of Seattle. Buck has had some real nice swings. Ryan knocks it down, makes a great play.
That is a great example of the way Brendan Ryan plays shortstop. A lot of shortstops may try to get a little more fancy and olay that. He did what you're taught as a kid. Stay in front of it because the ball was hit hard. Number 2, you have the catcher running, John Buck. So if you just knock it down, you're going to make the play. He processed all that, knocked it down, and made the play.
There's Wes Helms.
So the Sounders playing the team from where? New England?
New England, the Revolution, apparently.
And they are expecting 40+ thousand.
The Revolution is upon us. And that's why tomorrow's game is a night game, because obviously these games weren't scheduled for Seattle. They had scheduled the soccer match, Quest Field.
They had Thursday night, they had over 45,000.
A few members of the crack staff apparently will be attending. I have a feeling you'll be in some winery in Napa.
I will
sampling a Merlot.
I will be in Napa sometime tomorrow, late afternoon.
Marlins, of course, headed to Oakland.
A tasting, perhaps, on the schedule. I'll be ready Tuesday night, though, Rich.
Dry out by then, or what? Well, it's late night with the fish. I can say sober up, can't I? Here's the 3-1.
and you're going home. You're going to go home to the roots where it all started in Martinez, California.
That's right, birthplace of Joe DiMaggio.
Yeah.
Home of the Van Gundy brothers. Helms swings and misses. And where they invented the martini, Tommy.
Thus, I would guess why they call it a martini.
There you go.
All right. See what you learn here on Late Night.
Dwayne Wise is up. Wise is singled, lined out, and struck out. As a kid, there was an Italian restaurant downtown that my family every now and then would go to on a Sunday night, and I can remember as a 4 or 5-year-old shuffling by a booth and my dad tapping me on the shoulder and pointing out a gray-haired man and saying, "That's Joe DiMaggio."
Wow.
Because he had lots of family still in that town. Grew up actually over in San Francisco after being born there. There's Dobbs. Wise with the count 0-2. He fouls it back. Wise getting the start in center field. The interesting question will be, and Jack McKeon is one of those old school managers. This lineup against Vargas comes out, and if they put a win on the left side of the column, well, then does he use the same lineup tomorrow night?
Yeah, does he have Dwayne Wise back in there? Does Logan Morrison sit another game? Interesting decision. And somehow I have the feeling if there's a point that Jack wants to make with Logan Morrison, one way or the other, he may go with the same lineup tonight.
Wise swings and misses, and Leo Nunez will try to shut the door in Seattle. Nice little 1-4-3 double play. Seattle doesn't hit into many double plays. Fewest in the American League. The Home Depot doing more on defense. That was the highlight of Mojica's inning of scoreless relief. And now it's up to Leo Nunez to bring this one home for the Fish.
By the way, one of the things that we've seen from Edward Mujica, he does that nicely. Fields the ball, makes good throws to bases to start double plays. There are the numbers on Leo Nunez, trying to pick up save number 21 on the year.
Ackley leads it off, and Nunez with a fastball for a strike. Franklin Gutierrez, Carlos Piguero also coming up. So Nunez has a left-handed bat, a right-handed bat, and a lefty out of the chute.
Nunez with his 20 saves. That ties him with the American League leader, Brandon League, here in Seattle. Fastball threw it right by him there.
You brought up this point when the Marlins were facing the Angels relievers. In an interleague play, this is one of the areas where the reliever kind of has the advantage. Hitters haven't seen a lot of these guys. To center field, Wise turns and runs and finds it. That is a good center fielder.
Yeah, he's so good out there that he's one of the center fielders that can play shallow because he goes back on a ball so well.
And pitchers love a center fielder that plays shallow and takes away the ones in front.
Yeah, those little base hits that drop in front, he's going to take those away. But he gets good reads and good jumps. He can get back on a ball, too. Houston Street and Brian Wilson lead the National League with 23 saves.
Here's Gutierrez. Pulls one. Helms knocks it down. picks it up and throws him out. Wes Helms putting his chin into it. Nice play by Wes.
Again, the hot corner, knock it down, keep it in front of you. Wes does all of that, bare hand, and still had plenty of time.
So Leo Nunez has thrown 5 pitches. And he has 2 outs. And here's Peguero, who has been a big part of Seattle's offense in this one. Home run and a single. Nunez opens with a fastball for a strike. Oh, 1. 97.
He has an outstanding fastball.
And if you've got an outstanding fastball, use it.
Buck.
Went with the changeup, and he gets the strikeout. A 90-mile-an-hour changeup. And Leo Nunez shuts the door. Marlins win the ball game, and they even this series at a game apiece. Bank of America save of the game. How about Leo Nunez tonight, who comes in and goes 1-2-3 quickly in the ninth. And the Marlins pick up their 3rd win.